Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Remember to like and subscribe for a healthier planet next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Cloudstrife from Final Fantasy VII, a boy with a big sword and big emotional trauma he's working through by being a bigger badass than everyone else. Is that a popular archetype for people's OC character? I bet it edges out some other ones for sure. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need a Buster Sword, which is a sword on its way to being busted. Next, we need to do all your weird sword magic, shooting beams out of it and turning it into 6 swords that combine to make 1 sword. Finally, we'll make sure that despite carrying a sword as big as a motorcycle, we can still attack and move with tremendous speed. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, but make sure at the end of it your strength and charisma are above 13. Strength will be number 1. Your sword is an iconic level of stupid big. I'll probably call it a short sword later though, because that's what I do here. Constitution next. Sephiroth has a tendency to cut through a health bar like a hot knife through butter, and you 1v1 that guy regularly. Dexterity after that, your armor isn't super heavy, and you move like a guy who isn't carrying a sword the size of a damn building. Follow that up with charisma. Don't worry folks, it will go above 13 with our racial bonuses, and you're kinda scary when you need to be. Wisdom is a bit low. I don't want to dump it because I would say cartography is probably tied to survival, so we'll dump intelligence. Not everything can be high, it's not like you're an anime character. For race, I believe there's a new one coming out in Mythic Odyssey of Theros that covers humans who were experimented on with alien juice, then absorbed the memories of a successful experiment full of alien juice, but I'm just going to call it a half-elf. You get +2 charisma and +1 to 2 other stats. I'm going for strength and dexterity. You get 60 feet of dark vision. You have Genovan ancestry, which the player's handbook calls Fey ancestry for some reason, giving you advantage on saves against being charmed, and you can't be put to sleep by magic. You get 2 skills of your choice. I'll recommend acrobatics and stealth for maximum infiltration ability, and 2 skills from your background. Soldier is kind of Zach's background, but Zach's background is your background because your background is Zach. It gives you athletics and intimidation proficiency, as well as ground vehicle proficiency, so if your DM has motorcycles in the game, you can get one. Also, just reflavor a warhorse to have no attacks and slightly higher AC. Come on, just give him a motorcycle. We'll kick things off as a fighter. This build is what I like to call an IKEA Paladin, a special kind of gish that has lots of radiant energy and you have to put it together yourself. I'm not going with Paladin because Cloud doesn't like Genova, even if he is using some of her juice. Anyway, fighters can learn 2 skills from the fighter list. I recommend animal handling and survival so you get along better with Red 13 and you can make maps. You can pick a fighting style, and Great Weapon Master lets you reroll 1s and 2s on damage die with 2-handed weapons. The Buster Sword is a great sword, which means that mechanically I'm going to call it a great sword, which deals 2d6 slashing damage on a hit. Again, DM, if you want to mix up the flavor without busting anything, maybe make one of those d6 bludgeoning. I think it would be fun, and there's definitely some damage coming from sheer weight. You also get Second Wind, letting you recover 1d10 plus your fighter level as a bonus action once per short rest for when Sephiroth stabs you. Second level fighters get to break their limits with an action surge, letting you make an extra action in 1 round once per short rest for a little double chop. Don't worry, we'll be getting more chops soon. Third level fighters can choose a martial archetype, and angry commenters have pointed out that Battle Master actually has the highest DPS of any fighter class, but it also gets Student of War, giving you a proficiency with a set of artisan's tools. I want it to be calligraphy. You know I do, but cartography is more accurate, even if it's not quite as powerful as the skill of the gods. It's weird that his cartographical skills keep coming up, but I guess it's fine. You get 4 superiority die, which are d8s you can use to make yourself better. Sweeping attack lets you hit another creature within 5 feet of the first creature you hit with a melee attack, dealing the superiority die in damage. Fainting attack lets you spend a bonus action to give yourself advantage on an attack roll and add the superiority die to the damage. I'm not totally sure how to get climb hazard, but I think jumping up in the air would be pretty distracting, so I'll go with this. Finally, we'll grab parry to reduce the damage you take from an attack by an amount equal to your superiority die plus your dexterity modifier, letting you kind of block with your giant ass sword. 4th level fighters get an ability score improvement. Let's try and get that strength capped as quickly as possible. Hitting hard is more fun, and not missing attacks is more fun too. 5th level fighters get an extra attack, letting you attack twice instead of once as an action, so 4 times if you use your limit break, which again, the player's handbook calls action surge for some weird reason. Now we'll jump over and start gishing with some sorcery levels. To everyone sick of Divine Soul, I'm sorry, but the spell list is so massive it becomes the only way to get wholly holy and arcane spells from the same list, but it also ties in well with the Genova juice flowing through you, so it's not just mechanical, but flavorful as well. Delicious and nutritious. You're favored by the gods, giving you 2d4 to add to a failed attack roll or saving throw, making you a little bit better than everyone else with your protagonist power. For your cantrips, Sacred Flame forces a dexterity save of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and charisma modifier, dealing 2d8 radiant damage to a creature if they fail. Ray of Frost is a nice little blizzard spell. It's a ranged spell attack that deals 2d8 cold damage to a target on a hit and reduces their movement speed by 10 feet. Shocking Grasp is a little thunder spell. It's a melee spell attack that deals 2d8 lightning damage and prevents the target from taking reactions. Finally, Resistance lets you give a creature a d4 to add to saving throws. Unfortunately, Sephiroth can also use attack rolls, so maybe just roll Perception every 4 seconds or so just to be safe. For first level spells, a bigger, better Blade Beam would be Guiding Bolt, which is a ranged spell attack that deals 4d6 radiant damage on a hit and gives the next person to attack advantage on their roll, even if that's you next round. Jump will give you an anime jump by tripling your jump distance for a minute. This can't exceed your total movement, so you'll actually only be able to jump 50 feet horizontally after dashing for 10 feet of run up and 21 feet vertically. That's tied to your strength modifier, so the better we are at slashing, the better we get at hopping. But hey, if we've got 2 hands on our sword, how are we casting somatic spells? Well, we'll jump back to 6th level of fighter for the Warcaster feat, letting us use somatic components with our hands full, gives us advantage on concentration saving throws as well, and you can cast spells as opportunity attacks as long as they target only one person. Guiding Bolt is a great option for this, as presumably, next turn you're going to want to hit them with some attacks. Now, back over to Sorcerer. Sorry for the whiplash, we just can't get Warcaster until we can cast at least one spell, and we can't really cast spells until we have Warcaster. It's like a chicken and egg puzzle of arcane death. 2nd level Sorcerers get Font of Magic, letting you spend sorcery points to recover spell slots, but there are some cooler options thanks to the class feature variants Unearthed Arcana, letting you use Imbuing Touch to make a weapon magical, helping you carve through the robots of Shinra. Empowered Reserves lets you give yourself advantage on a skill check to be perfect because you're the protagonist, and Sorcerer's Fortitude lets you give yourself a d4 of temporary HP for each sorcery point you spend if you need a little bubble. For this level spell, Featherfall reduces falling damage for up to 5 falling creatures because everyone's bones in Final Fantasy are unbreakable, at least when it comes to dropping down. 3rd level Sorcerers get Meta Magic, letting you augment your spells by spending sorcery points. Extended Spell doubles a spell's duration. This is actually for something we'll be grabbing later, no spoilers. Heightened Spell lets you give a target disadvantage on a saving throw against something we'll be grabbing later, no spoilers. Aerith Dies. Whoops. For this level spell, Spiritual Weapon conjures a floating weapon that deals 1d8 force damage to a creature when you make a melee spell attack with it, which you can do as a bonus action on your turns for up to a minute. This is only 1 sword, ideally we'd have 6, but we'll grab those later. Again, spoilers. 4th level Sorcerers get another ability score improvement, cap off that strength score for maximum oomph on your hits. For this level spell, Spider Climb lets a creature run up walls and on ceilings for up to an hour depending on your concentration. Gravity doesn't really play a factor in your fights with Sephiroth. 5th level Sorcerers learn 3rd level spells. Melf's Minute Meteors summon 6 small meteors that force a dexterity saving throw in a 5-foot radius area, dealing 2d6 fire damage on a failed save and half as much on a success. You can send 2 of these down when you cast the spell, each hitting a point somewhere in a 120-foot range, and 2 more as a bonus action on follow-up turns for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration or until you run out of meteors. Your meteors aren't as meaty as your rivals, but they're still pretty useful, and we're probably not building Sephiroth anytime soon. We've already done 2 Final Fantasy VII builds this week. 6th level Divine Soul Sorcerers get Empowered Healing, but you haven't learned any healing spells, so For this level spell, Haste is a personal favorite. It doubles a target's movement speed, gives them +2 AC, advantage on dexterity saves, and an extra action they can use to make an attack once per round. So if you use this on yourself, you can attack with that giant sword 5 times in a single round thanks to Action Surge and move 60 feet. It lasts for a minute depending on your concentration, but you've got advantage on concentration saves to use Extended Spell to get the most out of it, especially because you get really sleepy when the spell goes down and can't take actions or reactions for a round. Let's get some more fighter levels now. 7th level Battle Masters can know their enemy, letting you study an enemy for a minute to determine how you stack up to them. You can check out their strength, dexterity, constitution, HP, AC, fighter levels, or total levels, and figure out if you're better, worse, or equal to them. You can look at 2 of these for every minute you spend studying. You also get another superiority die and 2 more maneuvers. Pushing attack forces a strength save on a target, pushing them back 15 feet if they fail, and you can add your superiority die to the damage. This is the closest we're going to get to finishing touch. It sends people a bit further away like it does in Smash Brothers. Riposte lets you attack an enemy that misses you with a melee attack as a reaction, dealing extra damage with the superiority die. Ideally, you'd take a hit to charge the limit, but it's fine if it's actually better. 8th level fighters get another ability score improvement or a feat. Go for the Great Weapon Master feat this time. It lets you make another attack as a bonus action after you've landed a crit or reduce someone to 0 HP. You can also take a -5 penalty to your attack roll to add 10 to your damage roll, letting you hit a little bit harder with your Buster Sword. Now we'll go back to Sorcerer for some more intense magical maneuvers. 7th level Sorcerers get 4th level spells, and honestly I'm not really feeling these that much, but we gotta get through this level if we want the true power. So take Death Ward, which will give a creature you touch immunity to dying the first time they normally would in an 8-hour period. Instead, they drop to 1 HP. If you would have cast this on Aerith, maybe you wouldn't be so mopey. All I'm saying. 8th level Sorcerers get another ability score improvement. Keep investing in that charisma. It's pretty important if you want to gish it up. For this level's spell, Freedom of Movement makes a creature immune to difficult terrain. Nothing can slow them down, and they can't be paralyzed or restrained for an hour. Both this and Death Ward don't require concentration, and will kind of just make you better than most people. If Cloud dies, it's game over after all. 9th level Sorcerers can learn 5th level spells. Commune lets you get a hold of Gaia and ask it 3 questions with a yes or no answer that you can fit into the spell's duration. Presumably this would get powered up after your girlfriend dies and becomes one with Gaia. Probably. I'm not your DM. Maybe your Cloud will actually be good at keeping the people he loves alive. Who knows? 10th level Sorcerers get another meta magic option. Quicken Spell lets you cast a spell that normally takes an action as a bonus action, which can be useful for a ton of spells that you cast, basically letting you make 2 attacks and throw out a spell in the same turn. That's real combo power. For this level spell, Skill Empowerment gives a creature you touch expertise in one of its skills for an hour, depending on your concentration, provided they don't already have expertise in that skill. So you can't give Yuffie a 29 modifier to her acrobatics, even if that would be pretty sick. 11th level Sorcerers get 6th level spells, and this is what we were investing for. It's a little spell called Blade Barrier. This creates a wall of spinning blades that's 20 feet high and 5 feet thick. It can be 100 feet long or a ringed wall 20 feet in diameter, which I would say is more your speed. It provides 3/4 cover, and the area is difficult terrain. Creatures moving through that space have to make a dexterity save or take 6d10 slashing damage, half damage if they succeed. Pair this with your finishing touch to push people into it for a very good combo. Our capstone is the 12th level of Sorcerer for an ability score improvement. Cap off your charisma for the best mix of casting and smashing that you can possibly have. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you are useful at any range with a big meaty sword and the ability to send out spells at a distance. You're also loaded with magical damage with a nice variety of types that should keep you ready for any type of enemy. Finally, you're very mobile. With haste and your massive strength modifier for big jumps, you should be able to get to go where you need to go. For weaknesses, gishing is a compromise, meaning your fighting skills aren't all they could be. If you didn't care about Blade Barrier, maybe switch it to a 14 fighter 6th level Sorcerer. It also means your spells aren't all they could be. If you want the full Meteor Swarm instead of a minute one, you'd need 17 levels of Sorcerer and 3 levels of Fighter. Finally, Sorcerer hit die aren't your friend no matter what they tell you. You're rocking HP somewhere in the 130 range and AC around 17 if that tiny metal shoulder guard is enough to convince your DM you have medium armor. It's not great for a frontline fighter. So, dash to the back when you need to. Have Tifa pin someone down and then pump them full of blade beams. You're a protagonist. You gotta be good at everything, and you kind of are. Just don't be afraid to roll perception every once in a while, otherwise you might be saying hello to the angels. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 builds every week. Something weird happened while encoding this video, so I'm not able to put the links that I normally would at the end of the video. It's just way longer. I'm not totally sure. Wait, what's that music? Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need the power of bullcrap, being just an absolute monster that anyone will instantly regret fighting. Next, we need the power of evil, which means dark energy we can use to make people suffer. Finally, we need a world-ending meteor, which isn't on the paladin list or on the warlock spell list. That's why he's not going to be an Oathbreaker or a Hexblade. Get at me in the comments if you want to. The algorithm thanks you. For stats, we'll be using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want, but make sure you're keeping that intelligence high. Intelligence is actually going to be our number 1 stat. You're cursed with knowledge, but with enough big brain plays, maybe you can get your mom to destroy the world. Dexterity next. Despite your sword's length, you swing it really quickly. Constitution after that. You've got health bars on health bars to the point where sometimes it doesn't even look like hitting you does anything. Follow that up with strength. Ideally it would be higher, help so would everything, but we've got to pick and choose. Charisma is low. You're scary, but not totally great at winning people over, and we'll dump wisdom because you are freaking crazy. We made Cloud a half elf because he has a little Genova in him, so we'll make make you the full version because you're twice as good. High elves get +2 dexterity and +1 intelligence, 60 feet of dark vision. Your Genovan ancestry gives you advantage on saves against being charmed, and you can't be put to sleep with magic. You get some training with elven weapons that we're going to ignore once we hit level 2 anyway, so let's practice ignoring them now. Wow, this is easy. I'm not even thinking about them. You learn a free cantrip from the wizard list. Create bonfire sounds like it's for camping, but don't worry, it can also be used for arson and murder. Forces a dexterity save on creatures in a 5-foot cube, dealing 1d6 fire damage to them if they fail. All elves get perception proficiency and don't have to sleep thanks to trance. For your background, your soldier background is making me think you should have the soldier background. Weird thought, I know. This will give you athletics and intimidation proficiency. I guess I could see you being scary, but only in like literally every definition of what scary is. A lot of people are going to ask, why wasn't he a fallen Aasimar? And the answer is obvious. It's because he's the one-winged angel, and a fallen Aasimar gets 2 wings. So, wouldn't really be accurate, would it? We're going to kick things off as a wizard. Your problems began when you gained knowledge of what you truly were. Well, I guess not your problems, Gaia's problems, which is you. You're the problem for Gaia. Grab 2 skills from the wizard list. Arcana and Investigation will let you know how Gaia can get flipped, turned upside down. It's a meteor. You can learn 3 wizard cantrips. Firebolt is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d10 fire damage. Chill Touch is a ranged spell attack that deals 1d8 necrotic damage and prevents the target from healing for a round. You hate healing so much you straight up murdered a white mage. Spoilers. Message will let you torment that white mage's boyfriend by whispering things in their ear from 120-foot range. Now, first level wizards can have up to 6 spells in their book at the first level, but this video is already going to be long because it's 2 videos, and I know you want to go play Final Fantasy right now, Lord knows I do. So, we'll be focusing on the amount of spells you can have prepared per long rest, which is your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier. Let's start off with the basics. Magic Missile will give you 3 homing balls of darkness that never miss. They deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage. Mage Armor will make your AC 13 plus your dexterity modifier for 8 hours. There's definitely some unnatural shenanigans going on with how quick you are. Speaking of making you harder to hit, Shield will add 5 to your AC as a reaction until your next turn starts. This will get pretty busted later, no spoilers. Last spell we need here is Cause Fear, which frightens a creature that fails a wisdom saving throw of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and intelligence modifier, meaning they can't willingly move closer to you and have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks because one-winged angel is blasting in their ears. God, that song is terrifying. Wizards also get Arcane Recovery, letting you recover spell slots equal to half your wizard level on a short rest rather than a long rest, so you can be ready to get back to the murder. To really get the most out of your theme song, second level wizards can choose a school and the Blade Singers turn on their favorite song, then they get to some murder. With your training in War and Song, you get the performance proficiency as well as proficiency with a one-handed melee weapon. The longest weapon you can use with your dexterity would be a rapier, which deals 1d8 piercing damage. You can play your Blade Song, which adds your intelligence modifier to your AC, increases your speed by 10 feet, gives you advantage on acrobatics checks, and lets you add your intelligence modifier to concentration checks for a minute. You can play this song twice per short rest to have 19 AC with Mage Armor and 24 with his shield up. The spell shield, because putting on a physical shield would end your song, which is fine, that's not really your thing anyway. For this level spell, Featherfall will slow the falling speed of up to 5 falling creatures as a reaction, making sure that nobody is taking falling damage, mostly you, but you could share it with someone else if you think they're worthy of not dying. Third level wizards can learn second level spells, and Darkness is pretty edgy. It fills a 15-foot radius sphere with unfathomable darkness that only special warlocks can see through, dispelling any light from a spell of second level or lower automatically. Now, unfortunately, that means you can't see through it too, but Cloud's Misery is basically worth it. Fourth level wizards get an ability score improvement, and really your main source of damage will be your sword, so invest in your dexterity, which will also make your AC 20 with a Blade Song, which is good at level 20, so it's insane at level 4. For this level spell, Magic Weapon makes a weapon magical in terms of overcoming resistances and gives it +1 to attack and damage rolls for an hour depending on your concentration. This gives a little dark magic flourish that will really make your enemies consider how much they want to protect the life stream. Fifth level wizards can learn third level spells, and I really don't think you're good enough at avoiding hits, so why don't we pop haste really quick. This will give you +2 to your AC, double your movement, give you advantage on dexterity saves, and give you an extra action every round you can use to make another weapon attack attack, dash, disengage, or hide. I recommend the weapon attack. Your AC is going to be 22 with haste and blade song up, or 27 when you've popped a shield. Nobody's really going to get through that at the moment, so there's no reason to run away. Though it is worth noting that when haste ends after a minute, you can't take reactions or actions for the next turn. But hey, no one's going to be lasting longer than 10 rounds with you. 6th level Blade Singers get an extra attack, letting you attack twice instead of once with your action. Important note, this does not double the attacks you can make with your haste action, so only 3 attacks per round. Sorry, there's not a viable way to get Octaslash and an Earth-ending Meteor, so decisions had to be made. For this level spell, Fly gives a creature you touch a flying speed of 60 feet for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration. Unfortunately, since this and haste are both concentration, you can't have them up on the same round, but this will give you some aerial mobility if you want to stand on a building and monologue about how absolutely screwed the good guys are. Now that we have our speedy attacks, let's take a quick detour for 1 level of Rogue to grab an extra skill, Acrobatics. You are incredibly nimble after all. To be even more nimble, use Expertise to double your proficiency bonus with Acrobatics and Intimidation. Your lower Charisma modifier was kind of bothering me, but this will make you as terrifying as you should be. You also get Sneak Attack, letting you add a d6 of damage once per round to an attack you have advantage on while using a finesse weapon, like your rapier. Is there a major moment in the game where Sephiroth stabs someone who wasn't expecting it? I can't remember. 7th level wizards can learn 4th level spells. Ivard's Black Tentacles summon some dark energy in a 20-foot square on the ground. Creatures entering the area or starting their turn there have to make a dexterity save or take 3d6 bludgeoning damage, and they're restrained, taking that damage at the start of their turn next round if they're restrained, and every following round until they can make a strength or dexterity check to break out. It lasts for up to a minute depending on your concentration, which you're really good at as a Blade Singer, but unfortunately this doesn't pair with haste, which is what's really making you the busted killer you are. Still, since you have advantage on attacks against restrained creatures, this could be pretty good. It's worth having on the list for sure. 8th level wizards get another ability score improvement, cap off your dexterity for 21 base Blade Song AC, 23 with haste, and 28 with a shield. You're just too fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog, but edgier. Boy, that'd be a hell of a character, wouldn't it? Dimension Door is my pick for this level spell, letting you teleport 500 feet as an action, and even bring along a buddy in case you and Cloud want some alone time. For fighting. For fighting, of course. 9th level wizards get 5th level spells. Negative Energy Flood forces a Constitution saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they take 5d12 necrotic damage, half as much on a success. This also turns them into a zombie if they fail it. I really just wanted some necrotic damage, but hey, I'm not complaining. 10th level Blade Singers get Song of Defense, letting you spend a spell slot as a reaction to reduce the damage of an attack that hits you by 5 times that spell's level. This only works while your theme music is playing, but it can make you insanely durable while the enemy party wastes their high level magic. For this level spell, Immolation is a pyre of fire that will make the situation dire and make your foes expire, forcing a dexterity saving throw on creatures. Failing that, they take 8d6 fire damage and another 4d6 fire damage every turn they fail a saving throw after that. If this kills them, they're reduced to ash, so not even Aerith could bring them back if she was, still alive. It lasts for up to a minute depending on your concentration, so again, no doing this and hasting at the same time. 11th level wizards can learn 6th level spells. Disintegrate is also great for no resurrection. It forces a dexterity saving throw on creatures, dealing 10d6 plus 40 force damage on a failed save, no damage on a success. But if it hits, they turn to dust and can't be resurrected without some insanely high level magic, so it's really fun. For you. 12th level wizards get another ability score improvement, and hey, your spell save is looking a little low. What's the deal with that? Bump your intelligence for better Blade Song AC as well, capping it off now at 29 with all your little boosts. For this level spell, Circle of Death creates a 60-foot radius sphere of evil that deals 8d6 necrotic damage to those inside if they fail a Constitution saving throw, half as much to those who succeed. That's the same total damage as a 3rd level fireball, but the benefit here is the absolutely huge area. This could effectively kill an entire army in one action. And since it doesn't require concentration, you could use your haste movement and action to blast in and finish off any survivors. We're going to dip back to the 4th level spells for Wall of Fire. This creates a 20-foot high, 1-foot thick wall of fire that's either 60 feet long or a ringed wall that's 20 feet in diameter. It deals 5d8 fire damage to creatures in those spaces and deals that damage again when a creature ends their turn within 10 feet of a side of a wall of your choosing. If you want to lock someone in, this is a pretty great move, but it requires concentration for a minute, so watch out for that. on. 13th level wizards can learn 7th level spells. Power Word Pain automatically ruins a creature with less than 100 HP, giving them disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and all saving throws other than Constitution. They have to roll a Constitution save if they want to cast a spell. Failing that, they waste the spell slot. They can only move 10 feet per round and deal with all of the effects until they make a Constitution save on their turn. I think the harm spell would be the best way to use Heartless Angel, but this is good enough for me. 14th level Blade Singers get Song of Victory, letting you add your intelligence modifier to your damage rolls while you have Blade Song active, so 3 attacks per round with a +9 damage modifier if you have haste up. That's the kind of damage our boy is known for. For this level spell, Finger of Death forces a Constitution saving throw on a creature, dealing 7d8 plus 30 necrotic damage on a failed save, half as much if they succeed, so it's a little more consistent than Disintegrate. Unlike Disintegrate, you don't waste a perfectly good body when you drop them to 0. Instead, it turns them into a zombie under your control. I'm not trying to make Sephiroth a necromancer, I just want necrotic damage, and the book keeps giving me zombies, it's not my fault. 15th level sorcerers can learn 8th level spells. Maddening Darkness is like your old darkness spell, but with a 60-foot radius sphere, and while it's active, creatures inside have to make a wisdom saving throw, taking 8d8 psychic damage if they fail, and they have to figure out how to move a standard dash amount in absolute darkness to get out. Get your edge on. It's gonna feel good. 16th level wizards get another ability score improvement so we can cap off our intelligence modifier, which means that the maximum AC will be 23 with a blade song, 25 with a hasted blade song, and 30 with a shield after that. That means that even a Tarrasque would be missing you more than half the time. For this level spell, Abby Dalzim's Horrid Wilting forces a Constitution saving throw on creatures in a 30-foot cube, dealing 12d8 necrotic damage to those that fail, which should melt an HP bar better than just about anything else. Until next level. 17th level wizards get 9th level spells and say bye-bye to Gaia and hello mother, it's time for Meteor Swarm. This summons 4 meteors that force a dexterity save in a 40-foot radius sphere each, dealing 20d6 bludgeoning and 20d6 fire damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. The range for this spell is a mile, so you can turn Midgar into Mid-Whir. 18th level wizards get Spell Mastery, letting you pick 2 spells from the 1st and 2nd level to cast without using spell slots. I'm gonna go for Shield and Magic Weapon. With Shield for free, that means that you've got 20 rounds per day with 28 AC while your Blade Song is active, even if you don't want to pop haste, and Magic Weapon will make sure that your sword can always hit someone if you need it to. Honestly, think of your melee attacks as your best cantrip. For this level spell, Shadow Blade from the 2nd level conjures a Dark Blade that deals 2d8 psychic damage on a hit, has advantage attacking in dim and dark light. It's finesse, so you can use your dexterity modifier with it, and you can cast higher level spells to make it hit harder, dealing 3d8 with a 3rd level slot, 4d8 with a 5th level slot, and 5d8 with a 7th level slot. It requires your concentration for a minute, so you can't haste with it, but the extra damage could definitely pay off. Our capstone is the 19th level of wizard for an ability score improvement or a feat, and since our constitution is odd, I've got a little idea to make this all a lot better. The resilient feat gives you a +1 to a score of your choice, and gives you proficiency with those saving throws. So from this feat with our constitution, we can get +20 HP at this level and +7 to our concentration checks for a total of 13 with our blade song up, and get better at resisting poison, thunder, necrotic, and cold spells. But we also get one more spell. This is our last level. It's gotta be good. The jump spell triples your jump distance for a minute. The guy is a good jumper, do not at me. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, remember how you can have possibly 30 AC? That's pretty cool. For a comparison, a Tarrasque has 25 AC, and maybe there are enemies that are harder to hit, but I doubt that they've got 30. You can also cast an apocalyptic spell with Meteor Swarm and plenty of other necrotic and fire damage to throw out as you see fit. If all of that wasn't enough, you're a pretty great fighter with 3d8 plus 30 damage per round while you're hasting to keep up with everyone even when you're out of spell slots. For weaknesses, your wisdom is bad, so Hold Person could shut down your immortality with a bunch of crits while you're paralyzed. You've also got a lot of concentration spells, and can't have more than one up at once, which is kind of a bummer. Finally, your charisma isn't great, which means someone could just banish you to another plane and hope you never come back. But if their only option is trying to get you out of the material plane, that means you are an unfathomable badass. Use all of your mother's dark powers and bring an end to Gaia. I know she never held you, just watch out for someone who wants to. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Also sub to Tulok and Mango. We'll be playing through the Final Fantasy remake eventually once our schedule bounces back from the Corona quarantine.